Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply. USAA.
Uh-oh. The last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
I understand, thank you.
Oh, man. Another rejection. Son of a... Wait, Alfred. What would your future self do? You do not reject me. I reject you. I am Mumford Not, and you are destroyed. Yep, that pretty much sounds like what I would do. I feel better.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Hope you are doing well. If you're listening to this right now, hope you had a good weekend. Hope you're being creative and all good things are coming to you right now. I wanted to talk a little bit today, and I always do this. I always use what's going on in the present moment. And I wanted to talk about a couple things and a couple maybe sort of pseudo strategies or some outside of the box strategies, or strategies and thoughts, I should say, and some ways to kind of think about some outside of the box, different techniques that you might not be thinking about if you're just living your life doing the normal stuff. I unfortunately almost ended up in the ER again this weekend, had some major problems and anaphylactic responses. So I was thinking about a lot of this stuff, and I've been doing some work on healing the nervous system, which we've talked about, but also healing past trauma. And how does this relate to art? Well, it relates to art on many different levels. I mean, a lot of us are dealing with traumas and things that are holding us back. Some of these things are things that we can use as catalysts to create better work and to exercise certain emotions and as like a working through period. We've talked about that a little bit, but I'm going to talk about it from a little bit of a different angle. And I was listening to a podcast, the Heal podcast, and I was listening to an interview on there, and they were talking about something really interesting, which is healing past trauma in a unique way. They were talking about how talk therapy kind of falls short and how you can almost just re-traumatize yourself by talking about the same things without really giving solutions, like revisiting past traumas without really having a place for that to go. And that really resonated with me. And this woman, I'm trying to remember her name. Maybe I should get her name for you really quickly in case you're interested. Yes, the woman's name is Sarah Baldwin, and I was listening to the Heal with Kelly podcast, and it was very interesting because she's done a lot of work on this on herself. She also had some major health issues in the past, chronic health issues, autoimmune diseases, you name it, crazy stuff, similar stuff to what I've been going through, but not exactly the same. Anyway, she went back and learned how to do this thing where she basically attacked it as herself, as her current self, as her adult self, getting rooted in the adult self, and then being able to access some of these old memories and emotional memories and traumas as her adult self, and then basically getting back into the situation where the situation already happened. There was no resolution. There was no way of healing or no alternative solution to get out of this in a positive or proactive way or healing way. And so she would go in as her adult self and basically sit there with her younger self who was experiencing this and kind of hold hands and be the adult in the room and say like, okay, it's okay. I've got you. And it was really pretty beautiful. And what it does is it allows that situation to kind of play out and heal. And it almost like collapses time. And it's like, oh, okay, this is done. This now has closure. Because I think that's the thing that happens with a lot of us with traumas or things that we can't work out or things that are holding us back in our lives and even in our art is we cannot heal these things because we don't have closure. So this allows you to kind of go back in and have or experience some closure as your adult self connecting with your younger self. And I found that to be very beautiful. And I'm working on that a little bit on myself. But I also wanted to turn this around as an artist and think about tools that we could use for, making our lives better and getting closer to our goals as being successful artists. And I thought, well, what if the opposite is true? I started to think like a Tim Ferriss situation here. What if the opposite was true or were true? And what if you could almost use this technique for the future event? So bear with me here. I haven't given it a lot of thought, but I wanted to talk about it today and work through it a little bit because it was fresh on my mind and I didn't want to lose it. So what does this mean? Well, we've talked about gratitude in the past. We've talked about living from a place of gratitude and acting as if things have already happened. And I think that's very daunting for a lot of people. And people use that to attract wealth or to attract a scenario in their life. Maybe you want to attract a gallery or you want to attract a sale. So you use this living from a place of gratitude as if you already have these things. And then, it takes away some of the blocks and it makes it easier for you to get there and obtain it, right? Well, the problem with that is a lot of us don't really know how to really live from that place, not only of gratitude, but of what it actually would feel like to have something like that when we don't have it or we haven't experienced it. How do you actually live and feel that as if you already have achieved it? That's difficult. And, it's a tool and it's a muscle like anything else. We can learn how to get better at that, at visualizing that and visualizing ourselves in that way. And I think that's what I was doing with this, kind of merging these two things. Like not only can you go back and collapse time in the past, but maybe we can go up forward and collapse time in the future by using our current selves now and getting a very clear picture of what you want your future self to be. And this could be a healed self as well. This could be somebody who's healed from trauma and who's just kicking ass and taking names. No, but just somebody who's, thriving and doing very well in their lives and they don't have these blocks anymore. They're confident and they're making sales and they're international and maybe they're a household name, or maybe, to borrow from the old podcast with Scott Meskel, maybe you're a legend, right? So it's an exercise of, yes, visualization, but maybe we can do this thing where we come from our current place, our adult place, our current present moment adult place, and we get a really strong visualization of that person in the future and exactly how they are, where they are, how it smells, how it looks, what the atmosphere is like, who we're with, who our friend circle is, who we're selling to, what our collector base is like, where we're showing internationally. You get this really strong vision, what our house looks like we have an infinity pool looking out over the city, whatever that is. And you get a very clear picture of this person and how confident this person is, how this person would act in these situations. And then you get into a very strong visualization, whether that's through meditation or maybe you're laying on a PEMF mat or something. Maybe it's getting some energy going that way. Maybe you're doing some other biohacks or red light therapy or something like that we've talked about. But you're visualizing these things and you are going into this scenario as your current self and you're connecting with your future self, just like you'd hold the hand of your younger self. Well, maybe you go and you sit with the future self or you connect with that person. Maybe you do hold the hand of that person as well, your future self, or maybe you high five, or maybe you're just sitting there having a glass of wine and talking and picking your future self's brain. But you really visualize this to a place where when you come out of this, you've internalized this is a glimpse of what my future self can be like and how my art can be like, how my art career can be and where it can be. And I think when we work these things enough and we can get into almost like a trance state where we're doing these things, we're working these things out, it's a very strong tool of not only how to go back and heal trauma, but how we can maybe reach forward to our future self, who we're not chasing like a McConaughey type thing. We're not chasing our future self, but we're connecting. We are already connected with that future self, and we can maybe take some of those tools that our future self has and live in that now. And maybe it can accelerate our own growth and our own art. So I thought that was an interesting idea that I wanted to share with you all today. And as a little bonus, I want to talk about something else that is on my mind, which is not so much a strategy, although it can be used as a strategy. And that is, how do you set yourself apart from other artists and other people nowadays? I'm sure you have realized how this society has been changing recently. I think post-COVID and post all these, political madness and all these things that are going on in the world, I think a lot of people have lost a lot of patience, and we've lost a lot of our humanity in the process. We don't connect well with each other. We kind of like, everything's siloed, the medical community siloed, political system siloed. I think even our friend groups and our, the people we hang out with becomes a little more siloed. We identify with a certain group and we kind of
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
Other groups. Well, I think we can be different, and I think we can maybe have an edge or a leg up on other people in the art world by just being a good person, by being somebody who's rooted in good values and who treats everybody the way they would want to be treated. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this personally because I think those are the ones that resonate the most. Well, I've been sick because I've been talking about it. I've been ill for a while now, and I stopped doing interviews for a while. I didn't stop, but I paused them until I could feel well enough to give you a good interview that you deserve. So I have been doing these solo episodes when I have these moments where I feel good enough to do them. And sometimes I push through some bad feelings. But anyway, the point is I pause those, and I've been doing these solo episodes, and I get a lot of people who reach out every week to be on the podcast. And that's great. Shows that the podcast is doing well. People are wanting to be there and have, a working relationship where we benefit each other. I've had some pretty big people come through and want to be on the podcast. And, I've had to unfortunately write everybody and say, look, be really nice. I always do it with a conscious mind. And I tell them, look, I'm really sorry. Thank you for bringing this person to my attention. They sound like a wonderful guest. Unfortunately, I've been dealing with a serious personal illness and condition, and I haven't been able to do any interviews. And I hope to get back to them. And when I do, I will revisit this and blah, 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 so on and so forth. So I answer each person individually, and which I don't really need to do, but I think that's what I'm all about, is communication. So I answer them and I tell them this. I share this with them. And, it's funny because about 40% maybe will reach back out and say something very nice and conscious back. And, I'm really sorry you're going through this. Yes, we'd love to, revisit this down the road when you're feeling better. And then they send their well wishes, and that's amazing. And that's like a great way to potentially have a relationship with somebody in the future who cares and who is coming from a conscious level. And then there's the people who just completely don't respond at all. They don't respond. It's like, well, we read that you're saying no, so therefore, it's not like a fuck you, although it could be a fuck you, who knows. But some of them just go, whatever, I'm not going to answer this. That's a missed opportunity, blah, blah, blah. On to the next. I think that's what we're like now. We just swipe. Next opportunity, next opportunity. What can you do for me? Oh, you can't do something for me? Next opportunity, next person. And I think that is a dangerous place to be attacking our business relationships and our personal relationships from. I think it's so much better to come from a place of the long game as usual and just being somebody who first and foremost is a human being. So those people who have reached out to me and acknowledged what I said and been nice, not even to be nice, but just to acknowledge and say, yeah, obviously we'll wait and see what happens. I have so much more respect for those people, and there's so much more of a potential to work with them down the road. And that's not to say, oh, I want people to kiss my ass, or I want people to reach out and say nice things to me and give me well wishes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the person, you've heard the old expression, the early bird gets the worm. Well, the conscious person gets the job, right? The person who really relates well on a human level and is a conscious person and tries to be a good person and just be a human being is going to be more likely to get a job. And I really believe that. And I think it's more rare these days to be that way. The person who you want to work with, the person who's going to show up on time, the person who's going to come in with a good attitude, the person who's going to give good customer service. We've talked about that in the past. I, was in the ER and I responded to a collector on my ER bed when I was like almost passed out, and I answered them. And I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just saying I take this stuff very seriously, and I want to reach out and connect with collectors and connect from a human level. And I think people appreciate that. And I know I want to work with people like that. So imagine other galleries and other situations, other collaborative efforts that you could have down the road. People want to work with somebody who's like that. They want to work with people who are professional. They want to work with people who are human beings and who give a shit and who care. So that's the bonus one here. They are a little bit of strategies, and they are kind of coming from a different angle. They're not like super tactile strategies, but these are some things that could potentially give you that little edge you need, and they make you a little different from the person who is also up against you to get a job or to get into a gallery or to get, this grant or whatever it is you're trying to do or achieve as an artist. Maybe this gives you a little bit of an edge. It gives you a little bit of a psychological edge and a confidence edge with the first scenario of just being rooted in the fact that you are this person who has achieved in your future self. So we don't need to worry about that happening because it's already happened. And then you also have an edge by just being a good person, being a good human being who wants to work with other good human beings and who is dependable. I think those two things might sound a little woo-woo, but they're actually more important than you'll ever know. I think adopting those two little traits or techniques can maybe catapult you much faster to the place you want to be. So that's it today, everybody. Hope you liked the episode, and we will be talking to you next time. Thank you for everybody who's been supportive along this path and who've said nice things to me and reached out. Still here, still doing it, and looking forward to doing more in the future. We will see you all on the next episode.
There is no more Mumford. There is only Mumford, but the future is now. So long, suckers.
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.